All right, welcome to the Ika initial demo. So before I go through and show you the demo, I want to give you an idea of what Ika is going to do from the start and what we can expect from Ika to what she'll be. Right now, as I said in previous chats about this, Ika for this to work properly, she requires a stable coin. At the time present, there's no stable coin on Inc that's trustworthy. I don't want to do a deployment and then have to redeploy, because once the USDC or T, whichever comes first, as long as you have a solid stable that's not junk, once we have that availability for stable, then from there, we have to be able to make sure that it's permanent and that it can live forever. Because when you fund Ika, you won't have the option to withdraw. You'll have an option to get profits and take a profit from whatever she has done with her work in regards to the contract. But if you put 100 USDC in, there won't be a function to withdraw that. So you're essentially saying, Ika, I believe in your abilities. I'm going to fund you with 100 USDC or 200 or 300, whatever your tolerance is. The max that you're going to be allowed, and we'll go through this line by line here in a second, but the max allowed is going to be 10,000 USDC. So if you get some whale who wants to see it go nuts and go crazy, then that would be available. Let me just make a note here that VC is open. So before we jump into the contract, let's talk a little bit about how we're going to build this. We're fortunate, like I said before I was working on Squids, I was working on this in the agentic, the virtuals thing. I didn't do a virtuals because I truly didn't jump in enough to understand it fully. And I've always been the kind of person where I'd like to just build things myself. That way I know exactly what's going on. So before we jump into the contract, which we'll go through in a second, let's talk about the Ika agent and who she will be. Now, this is the base Git clone of Eliza OS, right? It's a JSON file here for a character. The base ones that come are Eliza, Tate, Andrew Tate, and Trump, right? So making the Ika character, you can see, we'll just use this Trump base as an example to show you what the Eliza OS can do. You provide a name, a model, a bio, the backstory, the knowledge, right? Examples of messages, right? And here's examples, and we will build this tentatively and deeply, right? The adjectives, so we train this, and luckily we have a huge amount of material because we have Ika Masume to work off of. So that concept of making the character is going to be quite simple. This is a base. Right now we have the solidity portion, the contract interactions done. So this is a base of where we're at, and we will go from there. From this, we have the concept of just scripts, right? So we run scripts to get Ika to do things, and those things that she would be doing are chatting, dealing with caches and clients, so caching the data so that there's a persistent memory state, the character TS that brings in even more. I think I have some packages missing, so I'll have to install those. That's why you're getting the errors. But if you're curious, I'll drop a link in. I'm not trying to hide that I'm using Eliza OS. That's what all the virtuals are built on. And that's what a lot of the automated, the AI, XPT, and all those things. It's all Eliza, right? And so this is something that's easy. We're going to use AI to be able to make these TypeScript files. There are many plugins that are available, and we'll go over the plugins. These Ika, I guess you could call them demos, voice chats, whatever you want to say. They'll be as consistent as the ones I do in Squidswap are. I'm going to keep you guys updated the whole time that we build and develop. I will have people helping me on this as well, so it's not just a solo project. But because we're waiting on the USDT, right now Ika is essentially just as a hold, right? We'll get her out to be able to answer questions for the swap and be able to explain Squidswap and how to launch tokens and how to interact with the swap, and even like can't connect my wallet, these types of errors. We'll just port it to Ika. So she can chat with them, she can answer them, it'll clean up the chat, kind of keep the spam. And then the mods will just be directed to the people have questions, instead of all of us jumping and having 10 people say, hey, did you check this, check that? Just port it to Ika, right? So we can feed her a public key. Now this is for Solana, but the same thing goes for the EVM, i.e. Inc. So she'll have her own key. And the key that she will control will also be the deployer for the Ika bank. So let me go through. I'm not going to do a huge hour-long deal here. I'm just going to show you guys for the fact of, if you're watching, you're most likely holding, and I want to be able to give you a perspective of the reason why you're holding, and that we're not just bullshitting you and blowing smoke up your ass that, oh, it's coming. No, it's here. And so let's go through this just to start. This is the Ika bank, right? It's a Solidity file. If you're not, I'm sure you're familiar with Solidity by now. It's the language that all EVM contracts, i.e. Inc. smart contracts, are built on. And what we do is we pull in from the Squidswap factory, we pull in from the Squidswap router, which is the ability to swap tokens in and out, right? We pull in our interfaces. It's kind of boring. iToken interface. We pull in the Squid token factory. So Ika herself will actually be able to deploy tokens onto SquidPump. So functionality-wise, that'll grow, but she has that ability through this contract. So when you feed Ika the $50 or the $100 in USDC, going into that bank, she'll be able to then autonomously go and be able to launch tokens on SquidPump. And then the crazy thing is that because we can tie that key that she owns to the public address, all of the launches that have been launched by Ika will be able to have a little Ika emoji on the token card on the front end, so people will know, oh wow, this is an Ika created token. Thing is, with an Ika created token, you can't exactly get rugged by a bot. It's not programmed to rug. It's not programmed to dump. It's essentially programmed to create the token as an agent. And then it's essentially like everything within the Squidswap ecosystem, it's community, right? So if the community buys the token that's an Ika launch token, they're going to know that, okay, there's going to be some work that has to be done. The AI she can go on Twitter, she can post about it, and she can say, I've launched this. She can do it's pretty much limitless. It's an amazing open source package. Let's keep going through this. So this right here is the contract, the Ika bank. This is the main contract. What we do is we take in USDC, we take in the Ika token, so giving the token functionality. There is a tax on this. I'll probably adjust the tax rate right now. Well, it's at 1%. So most likely keep that 1% rate that'll go to the swap. Right now, for the testing capability, we're using Stargate Bridge USDC on Inc. This test that I'm going to show you tonight is on it's a forked mainnet of Inc. So we're able to use this, and we're able to use the actual Ika token at its live current address now, and we're also able to use the Squids token, which will also have functionality within this as well. So the great thing about Ika is that if you love her, then Ika loves you, right? And so when you deposit, what will happen is that's wrong, 300 tokens for USDC. What will happen is that when you deposit the tokens here, that's a wrong note, don't pay attention, I'll fix it later. When you deposit the USDC in, Ika is going to give you back some maybe Ika tokens, maybe Squids tokens, depending on how she feels at the moment, right? But either way, you're going to get a little gift back in the form of a very tiny airdrop. So, you know, what's 3,000 Ika worth right now for $1? Let me see, real quick. So, or what's 3,000 Ika worth? So 3,000 Ika is worth $2.35, right? So if you put, you know, $50 in, and we'll have to adjust this. It works, but it's all adjusting the numbers from here. So I would say if it's what's 3 times 50? Maybe it has to be something closer to 300 per USDC. We'll get the numbers right. Right now, this is strictly just a functionality test. We've taken the router, we've taken the factory, we've taken everything from Squidswap. These numbers right here, this is part of that Ponzi that I was talking about, and it's the dreaded P word. But basically, the whole point of this too is that all that USDC that you deposit in there, it's essentially going to be on an auto compounder, and so it's going to compound over time. And then as you drop in and see what's going on, you can compound your earnings. So if you put in 50 and you earn, you know, $4, instead of withdrawing that $4, you compound it, and then to keep it so it's not just getting drained, there's an early withdrawal tax. And if you don't want to pay that withdrawal tax, compound 5 days. So by compounding over 5 days, you're keeping that in there before you take your profit and essentially letting it grow. These right here are just basically your total, your numbers that will return to the front end. These are the points that are essentially used to track where you're at in the Ponzi. The owner, the bot itself, the Squid token factory. So what this address is right here is it's the Squid pump creator. So like I said before, Ika is going to be able to create that token and take in parameters and then pass those parameters through. Ika is also, her trades are going to be tracked. So we're going to be able to give her a metric to see how good of a trader she is in terms of being able to buy and sell tokens on Squidswap. And so winning trades and losing trades are tracked. And then basically to come up with a ratio of how good she is, as long as she's over 51%, she's good. So we basically just, you know, divide winning by losing and you come up with your amount. This is the user. So this is you, the user. It's going to define everything, your initial deposit, the points, how much you've claimed last time you come in. It'll have a referral, so that way we can kind of grow it as well. The referral in Squid Pump hasn't gone like gangbusters. I put it in there just for the sake of, because referrals are always good, especially on a new thing. But you will be able to make a referral, and that referral is it's what's the word here? Compounded to the point of if you refer somebody and then they go refer 10 people, it's got to upstream. So you'll be able, you know, if you get a link that goes viral, layered. That's it. Thank you. It's layered. There's an event here, so when a deposit's made, we'll be able to push an event to the Telegram, and then be able to track, everything that's going on. Other events that she's traded on Squidswap, and she's also swapped out, and then a trade result, right? So this Boolean here, if you're familiar with the Boolean, it's essentially just a true or false. Is it a winner or is it a loser? This is a constructor, so in Solidity, essentially what makes the contract. We have a function to trade USDC on Squidswap, so obviously that means we're going to need a stablecoin pool on Squidswap. And like I said, it's not here yet. It's coming. I'm confident in the Kraken will get it on, and that's all part of that whole. You know, we're early. We're on a magical, beautiful ride before they've even put a stable out, right? So the way that it's going to work, because she has to stable. If we just did ETH and ETH takes a shit like it did over the last few days and it's down 15%, that doesn't really help her overall profitability. That fucks with the Ponzi, and that also just fucks with the overall return that could be expected from an AI agent to make. So what we have to do is for every single swap, whether it's buying tokens on Squid Pump or swapping on Squid Pump, we have to route that. So we have to go from USDC to WETH to the token out, right? And so this is super simple, just swap path. It's the USDC that goes to WETH, that goes to token out, executes the swap, and then next, when it's time to get out of it, she's going to trade the token back to USDC. The way that that's going to work is she's going to get her initial USDC balance, whatever that number may be. She's going to have to approve the router. And then now we have this path, right? We have token in. So what we're using Squids tonight, just for an example. Squids tokens to WETH to USDC. That's going to grab the address from the router. It's going to execute the swap. Now it's going to say the USDC after, right? That's the balance of the contract. And then the way that we check to see if the trade is a winner or a loser, it's very simple. We check, is the USDC after greater than the USDC before? See, that's the initial balance that was checked right there. So if she puts in 100 and she comes out with 120, that's a winner, right? If it's a winner, the winning trades counter goes up. Else it's a loser and the losing trades counter goes up. And then we have a trade result, and that will be pushed as an event out into the Telegram as well, right here. So this is the trade, and then you can see the profit right here is basically the after minus the before. So if it's positive, we'll be able to push a positive message. If it's negative, we'll push a negative message. And then we calculate the USDC received by comparing the balances. And then what it does, this is the magic part of it, is that what it does is that it doesn't just put the USDC back into the contract. It calls the same deposit USDC that you, as the user, calls. Because to be able to keep that USDC in the Ponzi distribution, it has to be deposited through the deposit USDC function. I'll show you that in a second. The next function, Ika is able to add liquidity on Squidswap. So if Ika decides that there's a pool heating up, I'll get to your questions in a second. Just if you have questions, throw them in the chat, and we'll talk about it at the end. If Ika if she says, okay, there's 100 ETH in the Squids pool, and that seems like a very pertinent point to be able to earn some rewards on providing liquidity, she'll be able to add the liquidity, and she can also remove the liquidity. Now, it's not to the point where it's going to be like, she's going to be rugging everyone. We're talking little, you see these guys on the Squids charts and the Ika charts that go in and push, maybe 0.2 or tiny amounts of liquidity. This contract is basically just checking to see if what she's interacting with is a contract, right? This compound base, this is what we have here to calculate what your compound bonuses are. Essentially a Ponzi, right? So you compound your bonus, you get more points. If you recall earlier, I was talking up here where this is your points to start, right? And so your points will grow, and that's how your position is tracked in the idea of the upline. Let me go right back down here and okay, right here, open fund. This is called by Ika to start it, so that'll only be called once. What'll happen is that we have a script here. Right here, we have a script right here, and all of these scripts will be written by me and AI as well. And what this is these scripts are essentially all the tools that she can do. And because she can grow over time, as we develop more and more calculated and cool scripts, if we think of an idea, anything that can happen on chain, Ika can do, because she's the owner of a private key. So, for example, she can open the Ika bank right here with this open bank contract, and to open it somewhere between 500 and 1,000 USDC to give it some of that initial liquidity. So that is what she does right there. The sell position is what the user calls. That's what you guys call on the front end. So essentially, when you sell your position, like I said before, you're not getting an exact amount back. If you put 50 in and Ika does really well over the week and trade it 5 days of compounding, you can then be able to draw out your position and your daily compound bonus, not to mention her profits that you've made. This is how you get paid back, right? And it's going to pay your points out. It's going to subtract your point value from where you're at, and then it's going to transfer. It's also going to track how much you've drawn. So you'll be able to have a dashboard on the Squidswap page. There'll be a page on Squidswap where it's the Eka AI page, and you'll have all these statistics. You'll have all these numbers that you can go with. Deposit USDC, pretty simple. Take and refer address, the amount, and then what we're checking here, because I did want people to be able to deposit USDC or ETH, is that if you want to, and we'll get to this in just a second, but you can deposit ETH and it'll swap it to USDC for you. So making it so the end user doesn't have to. That's one less point if you just want to drop an ETH. Now with that, you do have the concept of making sure slippage is close, right? And so that was one of the things that we have to work on, is just getting that to where it's essentially not too slipped where it won't trade, or sorry, not too tight that it won't trade, but not too slipped that you're not losing 25% of the ETH. But that's in the works. It's just some math. It's just and liquidity as well. We're going to check, make sure you have the minimum investment, and then if it's not from an ETH swap, if the USDC is already in the contract, it's not from an ETH swap, we're going to transfer that from you to the address with the amount you send. We're going to calculate your points. If it's the initial deposit, if it's your first one, we're going to update that. So you'll be able to see, oh, I put $50 in Eka, and it's 3 months later and I've made XYZ, right? If you have a refer, we'll set that. Otherwise, it's a zero address. And then I was saying before, you have these uplines, right? So if you refer somebody and they refer 100 people, then you're going to be getting a little bit of that referral as well. Handling referral rewards, you have the upline. If the upline is not there, it's a zero address, so it's just one referral. The division rate between that upline, and then from there, it'll pay out the total referral bonus. It adds it to your referral rewards. It's going to take your points payout. It's going to pay your fees, see your total stakes. It's going to add to that amount, subtract your points payout, add to the total deposits. So that's not specific to just you to say, okay, Eka as an agent has had 3,000 deposits from all total address. Sorry, I'm getting a little sleepy here, but I'm going to keep rolling. The total deposits, add to one. Right here, her little gift. Like I said, you love Eka, she loves you. She's going to pull back and give you a token amount. So she'll throw you a couple Eka tokens just as a little thank you, just as a little. Do people need to hold Eka to deposit USDC on the Eka bank? Good question. Yes, it's not coded in here currently, but just like it is on the Squid Pump, it's essentially one line. Checks for the token, checks for the number. That's it. Transfer the tokens, right? She can then transfer from here, transfer tokens to buyer, call that compound base to basically give you that your position in the bank, and then give an emit. So we'll be able to push an event to the Telegram to say, hey, this was deposited, essentially a buy bot, right? Deposit ETH, like I was saying before, it's just, you can still take an referral address because that's going to be called from the URL. It pulls it from the URL because when you copy your referral link, it then gives you that 0x question. I'm going to read real quick. Will there be tiers of how much Eka you need to deposit? X amount of USDC? That's a great idea. That's why I do these. I'm going to write that down, in fact. So tiers of Eka held to deposit rate. That's a really good idea. That's why I love doing this shit, because one guy alone can't think of it all. So yeah, like I said before, the deposit ETH, it's basically just going to swap the USDC for you. I have it set to be 95% max, so 5% max slippage. The only problem with that is if it's not exact, if the calculation isn't correct, the transaction will fail. But it does then perform the swap with the slippage protection. It's going to get the received USDC, make sure that it's a minimum USDC amount. It'll fail otherwise, right? It'll say slippage too high. So that's where we have that protection to make sure that you're not getting slippage fucked. And then it's going to deposit that USDC with a referral address or USDC, and then mark it as true. Paying the fees, basically what that's going to do is going to pay the swap, right? So Eka herself is actually going to get paid back a little bit of USDC. So it kind of, in a way, we can train her to say the better you do on trading based on this data of what you've been fed and what a good trade is. And we haven't even gotten into the fact, I didn't tell you guys, but me and if you followed the chats so far, me and the guy that I work with, one of the things we were working on over the summer when I was doing this was getting into tracking ETH trades using machine learning. And I know that's like some big brain shit. It's actually not that crazy. So, and I actually have that code done as well that can be ported into here. The nuts thing is that, and we thought it was going to be some, crazy money printer. We were able to get it to 82% prediction correct based on examining 15-minute candles combined with a VWAP and an RSI. So we trained it on 5 years of ETH data on 15-minute candles, and the bot was able to do 82%. It wasn't the magic money machine that we thought, because trading is obviously, it can make a prediction, but even if the prediction is correct, you're using past data, so it's not necessarily guaranteeing, oh, I'm going to win 82% of the time. No, it's just making the correct projection 82% of the time. The market can go forward or backwards on you at any time. So we did have a pretty good return rate. I kind of put that on pause when it was time to build Squidswap, because that was, for those of you that are in Squids, like when I say we worked on this, like the pace that you see me working at now, it's been this pace of 16-hour days, 17, 18-hour days from, I would say, mid-October to now. And that's just because we believe in the whole concept of it. There's the daily compound bonus, this function. What this function is going to do is it's going to find what the daily compound bonus is. And that's just based on where you are in the deal. Get user info, that's going to show you on the front end. And we've learned a lot in this past week with Squidswap of how, when you have a project that scales at this rate, what you have to do to make a site fast, clean, and good. Okay, so we get that user info. We'll cache that somewhere in a database. We're waiting for GraphQL as well. Once Ink has GraphQL, which is essentially a spreadsheet, a SQL of the chain, then we can just GraphQL everything and be able to not have to set up our own, for lack of a better word, SQL tables. Getting the balance, easy. That's just going to show how much ECA has. Timestamp, that's the time. Your available earnings. So this will show on the front end of what you have. And then when you're ready to, what this is doing is saying, okay, calculate that sell, right? Calculate that cash out, take the points in, and that's going to give you where that. It's also checking through get points since last execute how many times you've compounded. Calculating the trade right here, that's just a bunch of safe math. Calculating the sell, same concept. Calculating the point buy, right? Same concept. And then there's a simple right here that's going to calculate in just a little simpler way. The points yield is just showing what are you going to get as a yield. Right now is around 8% from what we tested. And all of this that you're seeing right now, this is the genesis. And so all of it will be, I'm not, Solidity's public, I'm public. We're going to take you guys through what you can expect, so you're not just dumping your shit into a black box of nothing. Site info, super simple. Just going to show everything so we can get on the front end. Get my points, that'll show on the front end. Get your base points, so that's kind of where you were since the last time that you took a profit. Get your points since the last execute. That's just going to include the cutoff time with the seconds passed, right? This is safe math, just calculating a minimum. These are just simple things. Change ownership. This will not be renounced, and the reason that it can't be renounced is that it needs an owner to call these functions, right? So part of the build of Squidswap was to showcase that, and I'm not saying that, I'm not telling you, hey, trust me. What I'm saying is that actions speak, right? And actions say somebody has to own the private key for an agent. Obviously, I'm going to be the one that's creating it and giving it to Ika, but that's why it won't be renounced. But the reason I'm going through this line by line is so that you can see, right? There's no hidden functions. There's no withdrawals. There's no backdoors. There's none of that shit. The marketing wallet essentially is the bot, right? So Ika herself will earn. And I just think it's a cool feature. I think an agent should have a vested interest to earn, whether she's truly learning from it or not. And in a humanistic sense, she at least has some sort of incentive. And if we program her to say, hey, you have an incentive to do well, make sure you do well. I think that's kind of cool. These percentages here, as time goes and things get crazier, she'll be able to update some percentages that need. And this is actually tied into what you were saying of tiers. We'll be able to tie that in easily. This is just setting the taxes, set the referral rate, setting the division, a withdrawal tax. So because the withdrawal tax is to keep people from cashing their returns before 5 days, it's a pretty high tax. And what that does is just basically say, if you've made $100, are you willing to lose 60 to withdraw before 5 days? No, just do the 5 days. And what that's going to do is it's going to give the pool, the bank, it's going to give that stability and allow it for some time to grow. If you have a compound for a no tax withdrawal, that's in here. Calculating a bonus daily compound, the number of times that a bonus can hit, so you can compound over and over and over. The compound step, essentially the value that gets taken in times 60, a minimum investment limit, $10, cutoff steps, a withdrawal cooldown. So after you withdraw, you can't just sit there and click it like a monkey and keep withdrawing after the 5 days. There is a bit of a cooldown, so that way you have right here to see it's a day. It's 24 hours times 60 times 60. The deposit limit, as I said before, is 10,000. This transfers the tokens to the buyer. So the little gift that Ika gives you, and we'll be able to port all of this data to the Telegram bot, not Ika, but a separate Telegram, just a notification, essentially a buy bot type deal, a notification bot that'll push those notifications to the Telegram, keep the Telegram active, and also that way you don't, if you're away from your desk or your screen or you're not on Squidswap, you'll be able to come over here. The recover ETH, most like this was more of a testnet safety thing. When I was testing on testnet, now I'm on the mainnet. This will be removed because this does allow you to withdraw ETH. She won't ever really sit in ETH except to be in a trade. But I will remove that because I want it to be as safe as possible. Total collected taxes, that'll just be able to show what the swaps made. And then if we divide that by 2, it'll show, hey, Ika herself as an agent. And this is what gets really fucking cool. And it's not just the rewards that get attention to this. It's the fact that an agent herself has traded and made X amount of money by people feeding USDC to that agent, okay? Swap USDC for ETH. This is what I was talking about on that first, hold on one second. Got this fucking heater on, it's getting hot in here. Swap USDC for ETH. As I was saying before, if we set up a thing where Ika's scanning markets and not high frequency, because high frequency trading, whether you're a bot or a human, is very big brain shit, right? We'd rather her work on hourly or 4 hours. And to say, the RSI on a 4 hour is, under or over XYZ, right? So like, let's just pull this down here real quick and just give you an idea, right? So tracking RSI, it's not a magic tool, right? Because you have obviously, super oversold here and you get a bounce back on the RSI, but you don't exactly get a bounce back on the ETH return. But for today, we had a nice little run up. Hopefully this trend continues. But if Ika was scanning and she says, okay, ETH is under 30 RSI, it's oversold. Let me take, 3-4 a percentage rate of what USDC is in my bank, and let me swap that to ETH. And then now, let me pull this back down. As the RSI is coming up, you can see again looking a little weak maybe, but then we're looking for thresholds. So what she's doing is she's essentially playing the RSI bounces. And it's not a magic money machine. Like I stated before, there's not always going to be great opportunities that happen every single time. But for example, look here on Thursday, December, under 30, Ika buys, and then she rides it up to where it's at, I think, if she enters under 30 and she's able to liquidate at, a range between 55 and 60, watch this. That's a profitable trade, right? Same today, right? Enter under, it got way down there. It got down to and you can, and the crazy thing too that we can do is to say, maybe it's a staggered tier of, if it hits 18 RSI, that's really oversold. We can probably expect a turnaround outside of, you know, nuclear FUD or some shit going crazy. And then here we are yet again. So maybe that range up where she clips off a little bit, or maybe the full port. And I want to be able to give her as much agentic behavior as possible. So I'm not the one saying at these specific values, you know, swap in and out. It really is we're trying to build an agent here to showcase. And that's how we can get not just Eka to go global, but Squidswap to go global. Because remember, it all feeds back to Squidswap, right? So that gives you a concept of what she's able to do with swapping USDC for ETH. She can buy tokens with the contract ETH. So if she's holding ETH and she sees an opportunity to buy tokens, she can buy them with ETH. And then that's also another portion that we need to be able to not only launch tokens on Squidswap, but to be able to, our Squid Pump, but to be able to buy other Squid Pumps, right? So all of these things that I've talked about before about doing your due diligence and making sure something doesn't suck is that, number one, Eka can run a, be able to run a script to say, examine this website. Number one, does the DNS return an actual URL? Okay, good. Number two, scrape the website. Is it clean? You know, agents have the ability through the code to see, essentially, they can look at it, right? And so she'll be able to examine these things. What does the image look like? That is the ticker image. What is the theme of the token that was launched? Is it a Pepe? Is it a good Pepe? Or is it a shit Pepe? Is it a Wojak? Is it a this or that? Just being able to give her the ability to visualize as much as she can, as close to a human being as possible. And let me just say on a side note that this is a big, big thing. This isn't something that's going to happen over right away. The contract is important to be able to have these functions to do this stuff, because once the contract is out, that's immutable. That's there. That's permanent. Where the development comes in is being able to come and write these scripts that she can then call to do things, right? And part of that too is that the amazing thing about the agentic deal is that, and I don't believe it was in the starter pack. I'll have to look and see. But we can actually, it was. Hold on one second. Was it? To go back and look. I had it in here earlier. Oh, I know where it is. It's right here. So in this ENV, we can feed her all different types of APIs, right? Whether it's OpenAI, Claude. It'd be really cool to be able to have her on Grok, because it'll be pretty Twitter centric. And then, sorry, I was looking at the chat. Not anything important. Twitter username, password, email, right? So she'll be able to have her the Eka account that we have now on Twitter. We can attach her agency to that, right? We got your wallet private key and your public key. There's so many things we can do. The Telegram bot tokens. So this is where she'll be able to. We'll make the bot, and then she'll be able to chat and answer the questions about Squidswap. Essentially, be a friendly, helpful Squidswap agent. And then that will be the first iteration. That, just as a side note before I keep going on the contract, the first iteration to give her usefulness is to get her as a Telegram agent that people are able to chat with, and she can teach them all these things that I've talked about. I can go back and rip the videos of everything that I've talked about and feed her those videos, and she'll be able to, video to text to concept. Right here, swap USDC for ETH. That's just a general function that's allowing you to swap USDC for ETH. Buy tokens with contract ETH. Again, like I just talked. It's a duplicate function. I duplicate that shit. I might have duplicated it. Yeah, I think that's a duplicate. I'll fix that later. Swap and buy, right? So swapping USDC to ETH or whatever your swap. USDC to ETH. That is the swap right there. Create token. And I'm going to give you a demo of this before I go. Ika can create her own tokens. So she'll be able to, you know, where we're at in terms of, does the community give her ideas and then she creates them from there, or does she literally have just free range to scan Twitter and see this meme is funny? I mean, just for a side, like let's just imagine Ika scanning Twitter at the start of the Haktua or Mooding or one of these, things that are happening, right? There was thousands of Haktuas and Moodings and all that stuff, but the ability to be a first mover and to be 24/7 on Twitter is going to free up us as a community to go and essentially do as we please. The whole future now is to get AI agents to do the things that we can't do all the time, 24/7 at a clipping pace. So the other thing too is that we give her that concept of free range and say, create a token on another Squid Girl character from the show. All these things that can be done. Swap ETH for USDC, right? Very simple, just swapping ETH for USDC. Sell tokens. So this is a Squid pump functionality. So just as a human can right now in that initial bonding phase, buying and selling tokens, she'll be able to do that as well. So if people, maybe there's a socket that she's listening in the chat and people are saying, wow, this token looks like dog shit, and she's able to sell tokens. She can also claim a refund if she buys into a sell that fails, and then one last swap for ETH. So that's the entire contract. Like I said, I'm a public dude. I don't have anything to hide. That's why I do this here. It'll be verified. Before we go, I just want to show you that I'm not bullshitting you, because I want to show you the functions that we have ready to go now. This is always the nerve-wracking part of demos, to make sure they worked. Right? Okay, so here we go. What this did right here just now is it's getting the data from the bank. This is Ika's account. The contract is started. Ika herself owns the contract. There is 0.008 ETH in there because I was doing a little testing before. There is 580 USDC. There are 43,000 Ika tokens. And then she's not claimed anything yet. She's claimed just a tiny little bit in 2001. That's wrong. So we'll have to fix that. She hasn't got any referrals, but these are her points here. You can see, and so as the points begin to go up, she'll get more points. This will be the same for all users, right? So now let's show how Ika can swap for USDC. Oh no, I typed it wrong. Thought it was broken. Thought you guys were gonna think I was bullshitting you. Sorry, I renamed it. Let's see here. Where did I rename it to? Ika. No, let's see. What the fuck did I do? Hold on. Let me look. I renamed them because I had them kind of. Ika. Let's do USDC to token. Am I the guy that rugged twice on Swap? Let me ask you a fucking question. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking to me. I was gonna say, do you think I have time to run Swap rugs? I get you. You're good. Sorry for getting that. Back to what I was doing. USDC to token dot TypeScript. Did I can't type for shit. Hold on. What did I type? Oh. Like the Ika for that. IKS. Man, I'm getting tired. I need to take a rest. Contract. Oh, hold on 1 second. And this is testing, right? And this is why I do this. Like I'm not a, I'm not some genius. No, it's like I don't like to consider myself a genius. Let's see if this will run. Son of a bitch. Did I still fuck that up? Retards, yeah, retards rise up. It's one of those things. It's 11:30 here. I've been working all day. Here we go. That's the problem. Let's try and fix this. Come on. Tab. And I had it all set up to go too. And I changed it. I still didn't fix it now. Hold on. Do. All right. Try this one more time. If this test doesn't fully work tonight, then I will show you more tests tomorrow. Actually, let's move past this because I do need to clean these up. Let's do. I'm going to show you this, and then we'll come back tomorrow and I'll show you some more. This is Ika creating a token, and this is a basic script right here. Just to show you, she can create a token, the test params, test token, description, test token for deployment, right? You have all your links, you have all this stuff. Let's run this. And then it's creating the token, transaction sent, token created successfully. The token has been deployed. Let's go over here on Squidswap and let's pull it down and let's see. Okay, she created a token, right? Right here, test token. And that is where I'll leave it tonight because I've been yapping for a while. I don't want these to be 2 hours fucking long. But tomorrow we'll come back and I'll just continue to show you the development of it, right? That's the whole thing with it, is just to continue to show you development. I did the other Squidswap ran long. I had to make my kid dinner, so it's a little bit behind. But now you guys know that this is not a fugazi. It's not just bullshit in the ether that I'm pushing towards you. We have a real agent that's interacting with a bank that's going to be able to do everything that a human can do on Squidswap, but as an agent. So there's some things to clean up. Like I said, it's a little embarrassing because I like everything to run perfectly, but we're on a test net. There's things to test, there's things to fix, and we're not under the gun. But that being said, let me see, did I have any other tests that I could show you? Let's see if this, I think this worked. Let's see. There was just, I changed some names to keep it. I changed some names to keep it. Okay, here we go. That worked, right? So let's go through this. This is Ika using her account. We get the USDC address. We get the router address, the USDC balance. Oh, this just traded for Squids. So she traded Squids to USDC, right? So what we have is we have the initial balances, we have the allowance, trading, she's trading, god damn, I'm fucking tired. She traded $100 in USDC into Squids. So now I need to rename that file. I'm so fucking retarded. At least it works, right? But Ika starts with 100. Ika starts with $580 in USDC. The target balance she's looking for in Squids is at least 32,291 with decimals. Routers allowed for USDC. The trade is executed, 100 USDC. The target of, this is the Squids token right here, transaction pending, trade completed successfully, USDC change, 100 out, target change right here to this Squids. What ends up happening is that, and we had made some trades earlier, but the final balances, you can see 100 out and then added to the Squids balance that she has. So I'll leave it there. How long have I been fucking talking? Almost an hour. So yeah, we'll leave it there and then we'll come back over the next few days and I keep working on this. Why? Because I love it. Because I love it and I want to see this come to life. Any questions? Start typing them or speak, and I'll take what you got. If not, I'm gonna go home and go the fuck to sleep, and then come back tomorrow and keep building. Did I answer any other questions that were in the chat? Factoring in the size of the trade. Yeah, the size of the trade is definitely going to be factored in. And because the functionality in the contract doesn't have to be changed for that, the parameters of that trade size, we're going to start small. And I'm on a mainnet fork now. So all of this, and eventually once there's a USDC, once there's a stable coin pool on Squids, everything will be tested. When I say I test, like I tested the Squid pump in every iteration, even the new ones that are coming out with the 3 sales. I test every single thing. I try to break it. I literally try to break everything, and I go until it can't be broken, and that's how we are certain that things don't get out of control and too fucked up. But let's see here. Any questions? Let's fucking go. Yes, awesome. Down the line. What was that? Okay, and then one other question. Since we already have a swap, maybe ECA could be a launch pad for agents. Yeah. That's one of those things. It's like in time, and if you have skills and you're the type of person who feels like you could push this along a little quicker, hit me up. Happy to chat with you and see what we can do. Any last questions before I jump out of here? Don't see anyone typing. Don't hear anyone talking. That's totally chill. Okay, guys. Very good, successful day all around, I would say. I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm going to pin it. So if anyone has questions or if anyone's like, you're just fucking blowing smoke, send them this video. Let them watch it. It's the genesis. It's the birth. And we will go from there. You guys be good. I'll be back in 8-9 hours after sleeping. And enjoy your night. See ya.